Hi, I'm Dr. Bill LaBar, and this is my Rotary story. When I came to Irving to serve the church in 2005, Dr. Oberlin determined that his pastor was going to be a member of the Rotary Club. That's just the way it was going to be. And so I came to Rotary and enjoyed the fellowship. And then Mrs. Oberlin asked me how I was going to get involved in the city of Irving. And so I began publishing The Blade in those days. Now I work on the flag program. I'm in charge of production, and I just have it's something that I can do, and I enjoy, and I have a great time, and I believe in Rotary.
Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. I want to welcome you to the Thursday, April 29th meeting of your Irving, Las Colinas Rotary Club, celebrating 84 years of service to the Irving community. If you'll stand with me, our invocation will be led by the Reverend Bill LaBar, our pledge by Patty Caperton, and Neil and Sandra will lead us in singing My Country 'Tis of Thee.
Okay, a couple of things before we go to prayer. First off, we will be building flags next Saturday, not this Saturday, but next Saturday at 9 o'clock for an hour. Okay, that works out pretty well. Second, I'm sure you all know that Dr. Oberlin passed away a week ago tonight, early Friday morning. And I can tell you, he went to sleep. He just went to sleep. I saw him before the funeral home came to get him, and he was very peaceful, and that's good. There will be a visitation with the family tomorrow, 6 to 8 at Brown's Funeral Home. And then the service for Dr. Oberlin is going to be at 2 o'clock at the cemetery, Oak Grove Cemetery, because we would be limited at the church to 175 people. And I didn't want to put the church in a position of being the attendance police. I didn't want to do that, and Gary didn't want to do that, and I didn't want the church to do that. So we're going to do it outside. You don't have to mask. You just social distance as you're comfortable. It's supposed to be a good day. And then there will be a reception here. And I can tell you, as part of the reception, the family has arranged for a signature drink. You're going to be able to get a gin martini in honor of Dr. Oberlin. How about that? So would you, and I've been working on the service, and I have to tell you, the only way I could get through it is to tell fun Dr. O stories, and I could go on and on and on. So anyway, it's going to be a great service for a great guy. 55-year perfect attendance at this club. I asked him one time, I says, couldn't you find someplace else to go on a Thursday for lunch, But he always made up. So let's go to God in prayer. Eternal God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day, for the rain that fell upon us last night, and to the best of my knowledge, not a lot of damage with it. It nourished the soil and nourishes our soul. We give you thanks for this club and its work in our community. And we remember and pause and give thanks for the life of Dr. Oberlin among us. We will miss him. We ask your spirit to be upon us, to be upon our work, our efforts, to be upon us this day, to nourish, to bless this food, to take it to the nourishment of our bodies, and to keep us in your peace. In the name of Christ, amen.
Thank you, Bill. Patty,
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sweet land of
well done. Yes. John Van Buren, do you have the sheet?
I do not have the sheet, but I have a great memory.
Okay. Introduce our visiting.
There are three guests in the room, to the best of my knowledge. All of you. Blaine Bridgeford is from the Grand Prairie
Jim Klein is here. Jim, we've been used to looking at you up there. You're here in person, so. Let me, we have Chief Jeff Spivey with us today. I offered to give Jeff a moment at the mic, but let's thank Jeff for being here and the police and first responders for all that they've done. Grateful to you, Chief. We've got our Rotarians online. Ryan Maney's there. I'm looking here. There's President Linda Despain and Christine Dobson, and Lazaro's there. Lazaro, let me get that right. Randy Hubbard, Dallas Burke, John Eastwood. So we're grateful for all of the Rotarians that are joining us through Zoom today. Well, got a quick flag update. Bill told you that we're building flags next Saturday, May the 8th. We're building flags because we're doing a good job. We now have 1,184 paid flags, $53,134 in revenue. Still have 930 pending renewals, but we would like to try to get this number to 1,500 by Memorial Day. So it gives us 5 weeks to try to get another 316 flags. So we're going to have to make sure those are all built or repaired and ready to go. So if you can do that on May 8th, put that on your calendar. And then before I introduce our speaker, and I want to give him the majority of time today, I want to remind you that starting next Thursday, May the 6th, for the month of May, we will be having programs sponsored by the Irving Convention and Visitors Bureau. So really some good programs about what's happening in the community and what's happening in the hospitality industry here in the community. So encourage you to be here either in person or virtually for that. Now, our speaker today is Matt Carnes. Now, some of you may remember that Matt was here back on October 1st last year. He did a really intriguing presentation about his father's antique cars, cars from the 30s, 40s, 50s, I think maybe a couple from the 60s, Ferraris and Jaguars, and they were getting ready to go to auction just like a week or two after. I know some of you all bid on those. I don't know that any of you won any of the cars, but they appreciated your $100 bid. But Matt said he would be happy to update us on the auction and the sale of the cars. But he's here today to talk about his family has a foundation that supports a mobility skiing project, helping wheelchair-bound people be able to water ski. And when he first told me that, I'm thinking, how in the world did you do something like that? Well, they've done it, and so he's going to talk to us about that today. So would you welcome a member of the Grapevine Rotary Club, is that right?
Yes.
And a friend of our club, Matt Carnes.
Well, thanks for having me back. I guess the car presentation was good enough to get a return. So thanks for having me back. I'll leave a little bit of time so we can answer any questions we have about that. But today I want to talk about a passion called Metroplex Adaptive Water Sports that I've been a part of since I moved back to the area in 1999. Native Texan, moved to Chicago, and that did not go well. So I came back as fast as I could and been working with this program a number of times each year. And just out of curiosity, by show of hands, how many people here know somebody who has a physical disability or mental disability, family, friend, anything that you've been associated with, or somebody who knows somebody with some sort of disability? Okay, so hands are always going to go up. We have found a way to be able to take people water skiing, which is a personal passion of mine. I've been a competitive water skier most of my life. And it's one of the things I enjoy as much as anything. And to be able to help other people with that is a tremendous passion. I'm going to demonstrate the ski here in a minute, but he mentioned that we have people who are wheelchair bound and other things. We have not just wheelchair, we have all levels of disabilities. I'm going to show pictures in a little while of a military man who lost both arms and refused to have any help getting up water skiing. So with no arms, we got him up and he was able to ski unassisted behind a boat with no arms. We've taken people from 3 years old to 100 years old, from very small children up to a 300-pound quadriplegic. We've taken a water skier multiple times with a tracheotomy. Now, what that means is that individual can't get wet, they can't get in the water, they can't have any water splashed or anywhere near them. And we've been able to do that safely as well. So we really have a pretty broad array of how we can help and make that happen. You'll see more of that on the videos here in a minute, but let me demonstrate the ski here. This is a basic adaptive water sports ski. Now, it looks like it may be backwards because the cage looks like it's sitting more towards the front, but that's actually how we would set a skier in there. So we have multiple size cages. We have probably somewhere between 15 and 20 different skis and 15 or 20, maybe more cages, the seat that we can put people into. Now, one of the things that we'll run into with water skiers when they do it for the first time is they may not be strong enough to hold the rope and pull themselves up because of all the weight. They don't know how to balance. They don't know how to, some of the times they've never done it before. So we have people in the water that will help them and get them going. And I'll have a video that demonstrates that as well. But you can only imagine when someone shows up to one of our events that's never skied before, probably never been around the lake a lot. So we'll have a lot of families show up with a loved one who's physically or mobility challenged. That probably means they don't know how to swim. So obviously we'll have a life jacket on them to keep them safe. But it's interesting when they'll show up for the first time and they'll say, so you want to take our loved one and stick them behind a boat? And we'll say, yep, let's go. We'll be back in a minute. Let's watch it first. They always come back because they see how many people it takes to get somebody going. For some of the more seriously challenged skiers, it can take up to 13 people, volunteers, to get a safe ski ride if someone is quadriplegic or in that level of disability. We do have some skiers who can self-start. There's a national organization where people can ski competitively through the slalom course. I'm going to show a friend of ours go over a jump ramp. He's gotten to be a good friend. He's in a wheelchair, but he's a national or international adaptive water ski competitor. And his name is Mark Turner. You can find his videos called Mark the Animal Turner on YouTube sometimes. Very accomplished skier, but he was with us one day showing off at one of our events and he nosedived off the ramp. So just to be mean to Mark, I'm going to show that video. But what will happen with some of the skiers as they get started, if they don't have enough hand strength, we can actually put the rope with a knot through the block. You'll see the block on the front of the ski here. And we can actually pull them without them having to hold their weight on the handle. So they're technically just getting drugged by the boat, and we'll have a device in the boat to release them if we have trouble. Now you ask, how come we can release them from the boat? What about their mobility issues? I'll show when we get the video and some of the pictures going. Depending on the level of disability, there will be 1 or 2 jet skis with 2 people each on each jet ski that will be following. There's what we call safety jumpers. So within a matter of seconds, if we have to release a skier or if they fall, we can release them and there will be somebody there with them in the boat. About 3 or 4 years ago, one of our core members brought his brother from the Waco Tribune. He's a photographer, and he discovered that watching the jumpers come off that jet ski was more like a Baywatch episode. He got tickled by that. So at the end of this presentation, I'll show you what my sons have done to crank up the entertainment a little bit. They're in their own little competition of who can make the best exit off the jet ski. It's really funny. It's really silly. It's really stupid, but I'll show you some of that in a minute. But basically the way the skier can get started, and I'll try to stay in front of the camera as best I can. I think I got it. we can set this knot right here behind the block and the skier will be getting pulled. And if they want, once they're up, there's a lot less pressure. They can pull that knot out and therefore they can hold the handle in their hands and do whatever they want to do. Some skiers will, some won't. It just depends on what they want to do. Some of the pictures I'll show you here in a few minutes will be from different places. We do this, we've done it at Bachman Lake a number of times. We have an annual event at Marine Creek in Fort Worth. The founder of this program is Blaine Bridgeford. And Blaine had a sister-in-law who had spina bifida. We were skiing all the time. His wife's sister couldn't. So that's kind of what started it. Just one little case of spina bifida. Next thing you know, we have this trailer full of stuff. And we've been called in over the last few years to San Antonio Sports, where they do their all-can ski, formerly at SeaWorld. Now we do it at a ski lake in Martindale called San Marcos River Ranch. But we'll pull anywhere. We've had some days we've pulled up to 50 skiers in one day. So we can get a lot of people going. It just depends on the number of volunteers we can get and the number of skiers who sign up. So let me, and I can demonstrate this more if anybody's curious about how it really works. But if you don't mind, let's start that PowerPoint and I'll show you some of the pictures as we go through this. That's a video here. I'll show you. Is it ready to play? Yeah, just go from the very beginning. So, yeah, go ahead. So this is the core group. This is at one of the all-can ski events. The third guy from the right over there is Blaine Bridgeford. And he's the guy who started it. One of his brothers is there, but that's kind of one of the core groups. From there, we'll bring in anywhere from 15 to 30 volunteers to help us each week. Unfortunately, that was during school time, so none of my sons could be there, but they've always been a pretty involved help on this thing. So let's go from there. Now, this will show you a setup. The boat and the two jet skis, each jet ski has two people. So the second person on the back of the jet ski is what we call a safety jumper. And of course, you got the skier right there. So if that skier falls or gets released, those two jet skis, the drivers have discussed amongst themselves, usually with a visual signal, who's first and who's second. So that if that skier falls, they will have somebody there. And depending on that individual's mobility, we can sometimes be there before they get their hair wet. All right, let's keep going. This is one of the accomplished skiers from a while back, and you can see how he's sitting in the ski and he has the rope in his hand. He is one of the more able-bodied. He's a paraplegic, so he has good arm strength, and it's really amazing to watch what some of these guys can do behind the boat. Another one of the guys just cruising. This is one of our events at Marine Creek. And let's keep going. Okay, this is Cody Mccaslin. Some of you may have heard of him before. Cody in this picture is 3 years old. Cody was born with some leg issues, so they amputated his legs. He's literally skiing with no legs. And you can't see very well in the picture, but he's actually holding that rope in his hand up like this, but he's actually being pulled by that knot. And of course, there's the safety jet ski right behind him. Cody was an accomplished swimmer, so if Cody had fallen, we might not have even had to put a safety jumper in the water. We could have probably just had him get the ski back under him and pulled him back up without even having the person leave the jet ski. All right, let's keep going. This is one of our events in Fort Worth. Our biggest challenge in most cases is volunteers to be able to drive and get off the jet skis. And recently, our big challenge has been finding jet skis. So we got to find 2 people stable jet skis so people could, have safe ride on both of them and have some, large enough jet ski for the second person to come off of. So here we go. Another one of the looks. Can't see really in that picture. I've got another one coming that will show all of the gear lined up. Don't know what that is. This is at SeaWorld when we were doing all-can ski, and you'll see we have several skis lined up. This one of the closest is for somebody who's a little bit more challenged. We have what we call outriggers. It turns the ski into a little bit more of a sled. It can't fall one way or the other. And it's going to be set up for someone who's more mobility challenged. But before SeaWorld put a new roller coaster that took up part of their show ski lake, we went down there and worked with their show ski team every year And you can flip through the next picture or two. This is me actually with a couple of the show skiers there. And in this particular case, I'm in the chair, but that little girl that was in my lap wanted me to ride with her. And so I said, okay. So I got in the chair and she sat in my lap and we went around the ski lake. This is one of the areas where we went a little bit more in depth with a skier. This was a pair of show skis that we had with us. And this is a soldier who had a bunch of broken bones in the leg, but he wanted to ski. And so the trainers from the military base in San Antonio said, okay, so we actually fitted that boot around his cast so he could get up and ski. And it took a little while to figure out how to do it, but he wanted to ski and we figured out how to get him up so he could ski that day. Now, this is a soldier. His name's Eric, and I can't remember his last name, but if you notice, he has a nub on the right and nothing on the left. He's lost both arms. He was a military bomb diffuser and lost both arms. But just a champ, like all the military guys, we do a Wounded Warrior Day, and every one of those guys is an absolute champ. I can't say enough about him. Never hear about woe is me, never hear about doggone it, I lost my arms, lost my leg, whatever. You hear about them wanting to go back and serve their country. You hear about them wanting to go back and be with their troops more than anything else. It's just, they're just amazing individuals. But Eric refused to let anybody help him start in the water because we have a way that we can get in the water and help him up. He wanted to self-start, deep water ski start by himself. So go to the next picture. This was when we were trying to get him on a wakeboard. And then the next picture, you'll see this is him going across the show ski lake at SeaWorld in San Antonio with no arms, getting pulled by the boat. And we had created a sling with prongs on each side. And if it left one way or the other, he would be let go and he would fall to the back in the water. As long as he kept everything perfectly perpendicular, he would continue to go, and he went around the show ski lake there several times. So just a great guy. Now, this is another training tool we have. This is called a barefoot boom. We put him on the side of the boat. This is another one of the soldiers who had lost a leg, and he wanted to try to learn how to ski on one leg. So this was the starting for him to learn how to ski on one leg. So we just put him on the side of the boat, and they have something nice and stable to hold on to while they're going. But he had a prosthetic he could have used, but he said, I want to learn how to ski with one leg. So there you go. We got him up with one leg. We always have a big t-shirt deal. I just threw this up there because I wanted to give the sponsor some love. HEB and some of the groups down in San Antonio that support All Can Ski when we go down there. It's a 3-day event. It's a big 3-day event. And they do a great job down there. But those sponsors, HEB and Sail and Ski, always show up to help us with boats, with food, with snacks. And we'll have roughly 120 skiers show up over a 3-day period. And they'll ski, some of them 3, 4, 5 times each during the event. Let's see if this video will work. What you'll see in this video is how somebody's going to start the skier from here. And this is you can tell by the look that this is a little bit more of a physically disabled skier. They'll take off, they get followed by a jet ski, and then we'll run 2 boats at the same time. So this boat's going to come in, and you see the people lined up. That boat's going to drive right between those people. And when they let go of the skier from inside the boat, that skier is going to come to a stop, and they don't even get their hair wet. That group of guys right there, guys and girls, that's the San Antonio Police Department that was out there volunteering to help us catch. So San Antonio Fire and San Antonio Police have been a huge assistance on this. So the fire department helps us start the skier, and the San Antonio Police Department catches the skier. So they've been, like I said, just a huge help. All right, let's see what's next. Okay, that looks like it's the same video. Okay, now this is Mark Turner, and this is really just me being kind of mean to Mark. You'll see Mark, he's actually going to go over the ramp, and he landed, just not on the ski. anyway, but Mark is a very accomplished skier, and to show how some of the more advanced skiers can work. He's a trick skier, slalom skier, and a jump skier, and competes in all three of those events, just like a regular competitive water skier would. When we do the military, this is my middle son behind me holding the flag. It's a non-factor. We are going to play the anthem, and we're going to carry the flag for the soldiers before we start skiing with them. So there's that. And then let's see where we go from there. Next up. Okay. So, as I mentioned, Jerry Larson was the one who started noticing how much the Baywatch look of the skiers coming off the back of the jet ski started. So with the knowledge of the skiers that were involved in the shenanigans, we started seeing who could make the best picture. So I threw a few of those up there. This is my middle son who was helping us last year. This is my youngest son. And this, by the way, the driver of that jet ski, if you notice, he's only got a prosthetic on the left-hand side. His name's Eric Larson. He's an anesthesiologist in Arlington. He's an adaptive skier. He's a regular competitive skier. And he has two brothers who are very, very big help for us in the program. But there's him trying to help the boys facilitate. But you can see how this looks here. This is my youngest son dropping off. You see the skier in the water, and Jake is dropping off. Jake will help him manipulate that ski, getting back set up and getting going again. So there's that. Like I said, from 3 to 100 years old, up to quadriplegics, 300 pounds. So really, there's been very little challenge that we can't overcome. This is the upcoming schedule. The first event is still a little bit up in the air. I don't know how much of that's a COVID question or a scheduling question. But Pecan Cove is a competitive water ski lake in Waxahachie. We can only take advanced skiers down there because it's a tight turnaround. They'll have to be able to manipulate the ski a little bit. All Can Ski will happen in San Marcos River Ranch. That's the 3-day event. And then Marine Creek in September is a big one. It's one of our biggest local events. Typically what will happen is we'll have a group show up. We had one year, we had a group of amputees that were in town for a convention, an amputee convention. They found out about us. We rallied the troops, and in 24 hours, we were able to take a bunch of the amputees water skiing down at Blaine's Lake, and that was a fun day. They had no idea they were coming to Dallas-Fort Worth to get to water ski. And that was a fun day to get to pull that off. But that's it. As I was sitting here thinking about this, some of the funny stories we've had along the way. Blaine's wife was out helping us one day. And you never know what you're going to run into with a situation like this. We had an elder gentleman who wanted to ski. He was in a wheelchair, but and he was a really outgoing, funny guy. And we're just about to put him in the water and hit the throttle on the boat and pull him. And he went, oh, hang on. Pulled his teeth out, dropped him in Belinda's hand. He goes, okay, let's go. And the look on Belinda's face was absolute. I will never forget the look on her face. But anyway, it's one of those funny stories. And for whatever reason, Blaine and Belinda used to live right around the corner here. So that for whatever reason, it made me think of that. But anyway, that's adaptive water sports. We love having volunteers. There's no level that we can't teach, train, or take water skiing. So if anybody has any questions on that, I'd be happy to answer them. If not, happy to answer any questions about the cars that we got to sell back in October at the Mecum auction. So any questions, any comments, any? In this program, the fact that I'm a competitive water skier and I know how much I love it, to get to give that back to other people. It was, the first time when I first came back from Chicago in 1999, Blaine was one of my ski buddies. He's who I met my wife through. We've known each other for 30 plus years. Former Irving resident who now lives, he actually dug Pecan Cove Ski Lake down in Waxahachie. So he was a very competitive water skier, and his son is still a nationals competitor. Once it's kind of in the family bloodlines, it stays. But he said, hey, I've got this event and I need somebody who knows how to drive a boat. I need somebody who knows water skiing. Can you come help? I said, sure. I probably only missed 2 or 3 events since then. So, and I don't have many thousands of skiers we've pulled over the years, but it's just, we've gotten to know a lot of them. They've kind of become friends and kind of part of the family. So we look forward to getting to see the people, find out how they're doing. It's just kind of become a passion and something that, it's not a question of can I or can't I go. It's just, I'm going to go, and I've been fortunate with the company that I own, that the staff has been able to cover me when I need to cut out and leave for a few days to go to all camp ski or some of these other events. So, any other questions on that? Any other thoughts, comments? Yes, sir. Say that again. I'm sorry. My Rotary Club, Grapevine, we've presented there, and we have had a couple of volunteers, but not heavily, and that's probably more my fault for not pushing it. We have a very aggressive club, but we just haven't pushed it that much. And really, over the last couple of years, our events are changing a lot. We were tied in with a group in Dallas called Point, which was run by Shorty Powers. And they've had trouble coordinating some of the lakes. They used to do it at Bottom Lake, but City of Dallas doesn't want us on Bottom Lake anymore. So a lot of our events really aren't that close. So that's been part of the problem. But, yes, sir. Anything special about the boats? We use only competition ski boats. Doesn't necessarily have to be competition ski boats, but that's what we all have, and so that's what we use. A competition ski boat has a pylon that's in front of the motor. So from the driver's seat and the passenger seat, the pylon is right next to us, so we can release that quick release right there. So that's why we use those the most. So, and the trick release that we use to release the skier is the same thing you would use for a competitive trick skier in water skiing. If they have their foot in the toe hold, meaning they're not holding onto the handle with their hands, and they lose balance, they have to have somebody they trust to release them from the boat so they don't wind up doing splits or anything on that ski when the ski gets stuck and stops in the water, because you can tear up a knee, a hip, hamstring really fast. And that device works really well for these skis because we can release them on moment's notice. So it's a good question. Yes, ma'am. Funding has been an interesting thing for us. We are not looking for funds. Funding has never been our problem. We don't have a lot of money, but we don't need a lot of money. We go through a little bit of gas money every year. All the equipment has been donated or purchased. And you're asking me a question that I honestly don't know the answer to. I have no earthly idea what a ski like this would cost. I've never been involved in that. They just show up. We have I think we have about 15 to 20 water skis themselves of different levels, different, more, some are going to be let up for edging for the more advanced skiers. We'll have some skiers that will take off on a ski like this, which is a pretty wide, flat ski. It's borderline sled behind the boat. And if they're pretty capable, they have good core control, we'll bring them right in and put them on a more aggressive ski. But I do not know how much they cost. I'm going to find out. That's a good question. So. Anybody else? Any other questions? And just out of curiosity, anybody in here ever water skied? Okay, so you understand the passion. Nothing. There's cruising across the water on your bare feet or ski is just something I can't get enough of, even as I get older. So the cars. I got to tell you, Mecum is an incredible organization. They helped us from the photography to the loading the cars. I got to drive some of the cars on the truck. They showed up at about 5:30 one morning, and by 2 o'clock that afternoon, all the cars were loaded and headed to Dallas because they were all, at the time they lived in Wichita Falls. And so we got them all loaded. I helped drive the cars on. It was just, and everybody we dealt with at Mecum, photographer, drivers, Dana Mecum himself. I can't say enough good things about them. They were just a top-notch organization. All along the way, the reality kept hitting me. What's going on? Because of, they were my dad's cars. But and you just hit me with the reminder that when I walked into the convention center, they loaded them up on Wednesday. I had to go down Thursday morning and work with the Mecum people on some of the paperwork. When I walked in, about 10 of the cars are lined up, shinier than they'd ever been, all with these big flags. I mean, they were on it and top notch. We didn't get quite as much dollar wise as we thought. One of the questions came earlier. When my mom passed away in 2009, we had to have the cars appraised. The least valuable car in the collection was the 1989 Ferrari Testarossa. Fast forward 13 years, the car that sold for the most was the Ferrari Testarossa. And it just shows the flip of the car values and how they've moved. I don't know if you follow the auctions or not, but the money is in fast 1960 Shelby Cobra type cars. There was a Shelby Cobra sold in Indianapolis in July for $3.5 million. We didn't have any Shelby Cobras in our collection. So if had a do-over, I'd try to get Dad to buy a couple of those. But they were Dad's cars. They were his childhood. They were the cars he grew up with. My grandfather was a car dealer in downtown Fort Worth, where the parking garage for the convention center is now, is where my grandfather's car lot was. So these were the cars my dad grew up with. And I just did a test a little while ago. If somebody gives you a car, a car for a free car, for any car you could have right now, what would it be? It's the 1969 Camaros. It's the 1963 Jaguars. It's something from our generation, not the 30s, not the 40s, not the 50s. So that's kind of what made those cars a little bit less valuable in the end. They look great going across the stage. I got to drive a car across the stage, which is a real big thrill. But, in the end, they were Dad's cars. We're not the caretakers, we're not the tinkerers, and those cars need a lot of babysitting. And that's not me. All 14 sold. Mm-hmm. Some of them, they sold to all parts of the world. One of the cars wound up selling to Norway, I think. So I can't imagine just watching those cars get loaded as heavy as they were. I can't imagine how it's going to get from Dallas, Texas to Norway, or it was Sweden or Norway. It was a long ways, but they're going to put it in an American, an American automobile museum over there. So anything else, anybody? Well, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure to be back.
What an interesting program. And it's great that there's an organization out there that can help individuals and our military that have been injured during service to be able to get out and water ski. So I have a lot of fond memories as a child growing up. I haven't skied as an adult, but we skied a lot as kids. Kathy, you had a comment?
I just wanted to mention that we need some more people to deliver the flags. So if you know of a group that would like to make some money, we need troops or Girl Scouts or church groups or Sunday school groups. Somebody needs to.
How many more routes are we looking for?
I don't know how many flags, but Ralph Garcia had about 300. So scared about that. And they're little groups.
Okay.
Little.
Yes, sir.
We got one more thing about volunteers.
Okay.
I was say, if y'all can broadcast my email, if anybody's interested in volunteering, if y'all can broadcast my email or whatever works best for y'all, I'd love to help anybody here. If anybody's interested in volunteering, or if not, just watching, we would love to have you come out. So just let me know.
Maura Gass, obviously most of you know, sends out the recap of the program. We'll make sure, Matt, that your email's in that. So if y'all want to reach out, if you're interested in volunteering, or if you know somebody who is in a wheelchair that would like, I'm sure we can recommend somebody that might want to come out and participate. It would be a wonderful opportunity. Well, this is our last meeting for the month of April. We're going to turn the calendar over to May, and exciting time as we get ready for flags. Memorial Day is that Monday, the 31st. I think our flags will go out that Thursday. which I think is the 27th of April. So we need to get these other teams together. We've got a lot. It'll be a busy month. So Rotarians, I need you to answer the call as we say we need help with flags, we need help with sleeves, we need help with the route. Help us to be able to do that. We're probably going to sell another 300 flags in the next 30 days. So our challenges are still there. Not tomorrow, not this Saturday, May 1st, but Saturday, May 8th, we'll be building flags. Bill, how many flags are we going to build that day?
We're gonna build as many as we can build in an hour.
Okay.
We'll also have labels put on and labels, parks, and all kinds of
Yes.
things.
And for those of you that might have missed my presentation or my attendance this past Saturday, because I was in Austin, I will be there on the 8th with breakfast. So let's get a good turnout for that. All of you that are watching online, we invite you to come and be part of that as well. Well, if you'll stand with me, we're going to conclude our meeting today. Buddy Brown's going to lead us in the four-way test. Matt, can you stay around a moment if somebody has a question for you? So Matt will be here if you got another question about cars or about the mobility skiing. Buddy, lead us in the four-way test.
Yes. How do I instruct them?
Look at the battery.
Off the screen with the rest of it. It's in the corner of there.
Better friendships. Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all for being here today, Matt. Great program. We want to continue to have you come back and speak with us. We are adjourned.